Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. Now, Wizards have done it. Elon Musk is even mad at him. Along with, apparently, all us old gamers for some reason or another. But this time, it's about D&D again. So, before we get started, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. The comments down below will feed that YouTube algorithm. So, keeps the channel sponsor-free. eBay, TCG Player. We got giveaways for Thanksgiving coming up. All the good stuff. So, what happened? Well, apparently there's been a little hubbub about the 50th anniversary edition of the D&D books. So, we will start off with this sweet little post here from Excuse me. And Grummage here is Mark Kuman, worked on WoW and D2, I believe, if my research is correct, which it may not be because the web is the web. But anyway, D&D creators, Gygax and others, are erased and slandered at the same time. That's right, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro just released a new Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master Guide at the SHB 50th Anniversary Edition. Making of D&D book whose foreword slams the original creators and attempts to erase themselves or distance themselves from it. Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro just released a new Player's Handbook. Oh, yeah, and at the bottom here it says, I spoke with one of the original creators, Rob Kuntz, at 3 Line Studio about the problem. So, with it all said and done, I mean, this is going to be some sensitive material, and some people might not like to hear it. But at the end of the day, it really does boil down to if you want your own game that has its own outlook that's different from a current game, you should make a new game. And we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so sensitivity warning for some people out there. So yeah, let's do that. So the first passage here in the book says, some language in the first iteration of D&D presents a moral quandary. The documents reproduced in this book include many pages and charts, tables, alongside lists of monsters, spells, magic items. But the game content also includes a virtual catalog of insensitive and derogatory language. You know, because it's fantasy and you make things up, and people are offended by that. Ooh. Words that are, moving on, casually hurtful to anyone with a physical or mental disability or who happen to be old, fat, I think we all qualify as that, non-conventional, attractive, indigenous, black, or woman. Some people have charitably ascribed this language to authors working from bad assumptions. In this 1970s, historical war gamers in America were predominantly white. I really challenge that. But anyway, middle-class men, it isn't surprising that they were dubbed a class of soldiers, the fighting man. So, let's be honest here. In the 70s, there weren't a whole lot of women going to war with guns. Not a lot. So, the reason it was made that way is because at the time, men were fighting the wars. And even in history. Now, we know in history there are women who have rose the ranks and made great and amazing accomplishments in wartime and in other scenarios that are normally dominated by men. There's no question about that. However, predominantly, it is men. So let's just be honest. But when in the pages of Greyhawk, the description of Queen of Chaotic Dragons includes a dig at women's lib, which I don't know what that's about, the misogyny is revealed as a choice. Look, in the history of America, let alone the rest of the world, God help you if you look into the history of the UK and the rest of them, lots of bad things have happened. And those bad things are depicted in this game because it would happen in old times as well because, old thinkings, if you will. With that said, does that mean current movies and so forth shouldn't depict these things? Because shouldn't we learn from what's bad about this in our past? Anyway, The unfortunate fact that women seldom appear in D&D, I don't know where the hell they get that from. There are plenty of women in D&D in several different stretches and imaginations. And just fantasy in general. Red Sonja, to name one off the top of my head, who I thought was so cool. And when they do, they're usually portrayed disrespectfully. To be honest, respect is something that was always earned in fantasy, because I'm going to let you know, plenty of people got disrespected that were white men in fantasy if they were weenies and when they got beat up and killed. But anyway, let's not go there. Slavery appears in original D&D not as human tragedy, but devastating generations or centuries, but simple commercial transaction. Which, let's be fair, in American history, that's what it was, which is why we got rid of it. We figured out it was bad and not morally acceptable, which is why it's depicted the same way in D&D, depending on what region you go to. So some regions have it, some don't. Almost like a contrast between how the world is and was, and to give you something to fight against because it's not cool. Strange how that works. The cultural appropriation of original D&D ranges from bewildering, like naming every 6th level cleric a llama. I mean, because, that was in the dictionary. But anyway, to staggering gods, demigods, and heroes, not reprinted in this book. Includes game statistics for sacred figures revered by more than 1 billion people around the world, where players expect to fight Vishnu, one of the principal deities of Hinduism, kill him, and loot him for a +3 sword of demon slaying. Now, to be fair, you can do that with any god/deity/hero if you want to put them in D&D. That's why it's fantasy. It's nothing against religion. It's about fantasy. But yeah, so honestly, I'm at the point now, I haven't bought a D&D book since 4th edition. And with the new 5th edition, which I helped playtest, and these kind of things in the books and how they're going with it, I don't care about D&D books anymore. I just buy Pathfinder because it's pretty simple. We're going to have one comment on that and how I feel about it. Like I mentioned earlier, if you don't like how a game is wrote or played or portrays a certain aspect, you could write a different game that doesn't have those things in it. But guess what they haven't done? Wrote that game. And if they have, it probably sucked because guess what? Nobody knows about it, nor does anybody play it. So instead of changing the game that people love for the reasons it's there so we can fight against these things we find morally appalling instead of thinking we want them, part of the fantasy of being a hero is to fight against the bad, to preserve the good. And if there's no bad, then what are you fighting against other than killing people for loot? So yeah. Anyway, with all that being said, Elon Musk had a good chime in, I thought. Pretty much sums it up in one little paragraph. Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. Exactly. Followed up by the words, "What the F is wrong with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast?" That is a long list, Elon, and I don't have time to make a video on that because nobody's going to watch a 2-hour video of all backwards that company is. And may they burn in HE double hockey sticks. So, I think it's pretty relevant when a man who makes rockets along with other things and is a giant gaming nerd tells you you're dumb and basically just gives you the middle finger. Maybe we'll get lucky one of these days and maybe Elon will buy Hasbro and fire all these idiots who are in there doing this dumb stuff. And let us have our game. And if not, that's fine. There'll be games that come out that are just like D&D without the name, that has the same problems that they think is a problem with their D&D, and everybody will start playing it instead. And they'll wonder where it went wrong. Because, CEOs are stupid. So, with all that said, guys, there you have it. Here's a quick link to the giveaway for Thanksgiving. Feel free to put some stuff down in the comment section. Please be nice. I do moderate the comment sections to make sure everybody is at least being respectful and to keep the bots out of it, because you don't even want to know the kind of stuff that was showing up down there before I started looking at it. Anyway, Jesus. It's the regular Pornhub down there. Anyhow, till next time, be kind, and as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.